Okay. All right, the meeting is being recorded. So I believe everyone got the notification, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so welcome to today's event. We have everything kicked in now, and we are good to go. So first of all, I want to thank all of you for acknowledging the invitation, regardless of the fee we had on it. And let me start with the introduction. Let me start with the introduction itself. The bootcamp, basically, it was an idea I got from a friend, Flint Trading, that we had about 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago. So the whole idea was that he's Arabic, by the way. So the whole idea was that we should plan and create this event itself where we can basically share our experience as time goes on, because he's a researcher also, and we're trying to create a balance between trying to understand what we were doing as content creators and at the same time what we're doing as Forex traders. So we're trying to, blend this whole system together. So we said, okay, let's create this event where we would also share our experience with the world and also teach them the perspective we have discovered over the years. So this is going to be an event where I would be part-time sharing this, and also to keep that spirit of it being an external event and having other people share their own experience and what they have learned. So that's why I also improvised and create this space where we can have guests. Okay. So for the coming days, we would have different guests on the channel. We would have that is tomorrow, we're going to be having Ellie. I'm going to be handling the understanding of what we are doing right now as Forex trading. Now, let me start from the foundational level. And so that's something we can the floor open to like 2 people. Let's say what you had in mind when you came to trade Forex. Can anybody be able to tell us, just a little bit of what you think you came to do or what you decided you're coming to do in the first place?
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good evening. So my name is Gray, and when my own idea of Forex, when I first got into Forex, actually was the idea of I got Forex from the aspect of, yeah, this is a business and you come into and make some kind of cash, like quick cash and the rest. And I was a student at that period. So I was like, okay, let me learn this thing and, start making all the money and buying Ferraris and the rest. But then being in the game for some years now, understanding started to tweaking and experience started to drop. And first, it taught me a lot, I'm not going to lie. I spoke about my own experience as to when I got into trading. I had this idea when I heard about trading as the next big thing, something to use to elevate myself, though I was a student in my final year. So I was like, okay, now I'm about to finish school. This would be the best way to come out of school and, get all the cash that is within the years. And I kept going. I understood that Forex is not a quick cash thing. And while trading Forex, I also learned a lot about myself personally. And I started to see life in a different aspect, actually. And till now, we're just learning and getting better every day, though. And that's what Forex has and is still doing for me presently, actually. That's it for me.
Okay, so let's say now at least that's a very profound understanding, because let's say that's an understanding of what you're doing right now. What would you think Forex is if they should ask you, okay, like that from your understanding of your experience now? Would you say this is a hobby? Would you say Forex trading is a hobby? Would you describe it as a career, or like would you describe it as what would you say your are as a Forex trader, like, and what life is it like really to describe it?
Yeah, if I'm to describe Forex, I can take Forex as a profession and as an hobby. But generally, when I look at Forex as life, because you can gain a lot and you can use it to do a lot of things, depending on the angle you are coming from. It all still breaks down to which aspect we want to use it as. but the understanding and the concept through Forex just seem like teaching basic of life, and this could get any of us far as long as we keep to it. This could be a profession, this could be your hobby. It all depends on the person. But for me, I call it an hobby since I take it as life.
All right. So first of all, that was beautiful. That was nice. That was nice. Now, and why I'm happy that you were able to give that breakdown is because there's some certain level of explanation. When you're explaining is required that we have some foundational concepts of Hello, can you hear me? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. So mainly it's nice sometimes that we have these conversations, and mostly when we're understanding things, we're understanding from a conversation perspective, not just somebody trying to tell you something, not trying to like me explain it, So I'm happy that you're able to give that insight. At least, we are hearing from two different angles as well. Now, first of all, at least now let understanding of, we clearly see he's having fun trading. He's sounding like he's trading as a hobby and he's doing it very fine. You understand? So let's say you that you just started, for a beginner, for somebody who is new, for somebody who, let's say, you have been trading, you've not been really finding it that fun. You've not really seen that edge that you would say, this is what I'm doing trading for. You understand? At least from what he just broke down to you, you can see that that kind of vision is possible. You can do this thing as a hobby and at the same time learn from it like a school. You understand? So I want you to have that basic foundational understanding that what you're trying to learn here is a hobby. What you're trying to learn here can be a profession. What you're trying to learn here can be a career. What you're trying to learn can be whatever you want it to be. That's why we have a particular subtopic today called the perception of forex trading. Regardless of our understanding, regardless of own and goals, our own personal objective, why we came into the business in the first place. So that is to tell you that this body, let's say this body, this entity, can be whatever you want it to be, however you want it to be, and whichever means you want it to, work for you. But at the same time, let's give a fundamental breakdown of what trading actually is from, the perceived, the physical perspective, that aspect of what is on the internet, not the experience. Now, first of all, forex trading is about currencies. The word forex itself comes from foreign exchange. So it's like a summarization. They broke down forex and took the F and the O, and then exchange took the E and the X, So they brought forex. And that was how they shortcut the name from forex to the forex, because at the beginning, that is around the late 90s when we had the gold standard being dissolved, when we got introduced to flat currency, they created this new system. So along the way, rich individuals came, created brokers. The market became open to retailers, basically. Like you and I can now decide, let's get into stocks trading. Then it was more of stocks, So people were into, let's buy shares. Technology was also evolving. So this whole thing started and, blah, blah, blah. We got to 2020 and now we are here. Now, when we say a summary of all that, trading came into the whole system, like the digital age, from the internet. And everybody had this profound discovery, let's say an enlightenment, when you started your journey into forex trading, that you kind of like went after the chase for financial freedom, or basically satisfaction. And then trading found its way to you. So what is trading then? For it to be, looking for a way to individuals who are looking to learn how to trade, or who are looking to make money for themselves, or who are looking to make a life for themselves. What is trading then? Then when we look at it from that perspective, we find out that it is a system that reflects the human existence, that reflects our journey, that reflects our emotions, that reflects our pleasure, our happiness. Because how does that happen? Now, when you place a trade in the market and you're in profit, how do you feel? That's something. When you place a trade in the market and you're not in profit, how do you feel? That's also something. When you place a trade
with your strategy, following your rules, how do you feel? That's something. When you look at the candlesticks and you're trying to interpret the market, what story are you telling yourself? This is a price action, this is the support and the resistance level. You know, all that experience itself is basically mirroring what we are doing in life on a daily basis. You know, now that brings us to what we understand as the human experience. That is from our own individual perspective. This is the same reason why we all came into trading with different reasons, different ideas, different, aim, different objectives, because it's only mirroring our own experience. But at the same time, what was the agenda here? That was to adopt a hobby where he can express his feelings. So he basically saw trading giving him that science of, a level of, I can learn something to acquire financial freedom. At the same time, I can learn something to express myself. Do you understand? I can learn something to do that I would have fun in. And that is how we got to this point. Because he's very, very comfortable with what he's doing. That doesn't mean someone who is into accounting or someone who is looking to create a structural system where he can have, let's say, a business. Let's say somebody like that. That's not the understanding that brings them into Forex trading. And that's why you end up seeing them creating brands. If you go into the internet and you decide to look into Forex trading, let's say you decide to look into what is being displayed to the world as Forex trading. In South Africa, you find individuals who say Forex trading is a get-rich scheme. They show cars, money, all of that. And anybody who is coming into Forex from South Africa doesn't look that serious, doesn't look that intellectual, until you start seeing them popping up. But what we are seeing right now, they're not really looking like serious people. Let me put it that way. Okay, then when you look at trading from the US, you don't really find Forex traders there, but you find stocks trader. That's why we have Enli coming up tomorrow to give us some insights about that, because they are used to the New York Stock Exchange market. That was something that was created in the early, early systems of trading. And that aspect itself is also a different level of trading that, we are going to be learning about tomorrow. We would have the opportunity to also ask him questions and also to get insights to, the foundational structures of, how this New York Stock Exchange works. Because we have stock exchange, I think almost every region of the world right now. In Nigeria, we have platforms you can trade stocks, but I'm not looking into that yet because, it looks very expensive and stuff like that. But, in the future, maybe I will look into that. But right now, let's get back to what we're talking. We're talking about the foundational level of what trading is all about. If you go to the Middle East, what do you think they perceive as Forex trading? That's a question that, we should ask ourselves. If you come to Nigeria, what do we understand as Forex trading? Now you go online, you see individuals like we have the JayFx, JayFx from Ghana. From the region of South Africa, we have individuals who say Forex trading has changed their life. Some of them appear to be intellectuals. Some of them appear to be rich guys. Some of them appear to be people who made it through Forex trading. So Forex trading is basically giving you that illusion of freedom, financial freedom, or independence. That's what we understand from Nigeria, the basic foundational level. But when you go to America and you ask somebody what's trading, he doesn't really see it like that, and then it doesn't even look like that's real. It doesn't look like that's possible. It doesn't even make any sense that you're saying Forex trading is giving you a lifestyle. What does that even mean? You understand? And that's also something I think along the way I've also learned, from mirroring both sides and also being a Nigerian. I've understood that majority of we who come from Nigeria are coming from our youthful age. And basically we still have this fuel in us that when our energy is placed on the right direction, we're able to create a future for ourselves with discipline that we, basically acquired from Forex trading. So in life, whatever you're looking forward to is something you have to constantly put effort into every day. Whatever you're looking forward to is something you have to constantly put effort. Because we were taught about art and science, right? When you say an action, when you say put effort into something, we're talking about an action, talking about something you're going to be doing. Okay, this action. Then we're talking about art and science. So it could be the science aspect of that action or the artistic aspect of that action. We're talking about what is art, what is science then. When we say art,
we're looking at the pattern structure of this stuff. You know, the pattern, what every part puts together to form this, not just the structural aspect. When you start breaking down structures, when you start getting technical, you're becoming more scientific. You're trying to understand, uncover the, you know, the mechanism of what's going on. That's art and science. So we have the engineers and we have the dancers, the musicians. Those guys, the musicians are basically trying to give you something you have to get an insight into. That's what they call art. Something you have to use your own perception to also understand what's going on. Doesn't mean it's not scientific. You know, there's a science behind it as well. So art and science are not something that are individual. They work together basically. So there's an art to God. There's a science to God. Same thing with Forex trading. There's an art to Forex trading. There's a science to Forex trading. So when we say what the are doing, what the South Africans are doing, what the Nigerians are thinking, when you look into the science of what is Forex trading, all right, then you have to look at what the Europeans are thinking, what the Americans are thinking, because the Americans are just seeing a system where, you know, you trade, you make money. Discipline is something they put in almost in everything they do. Like, honestly, it takes discipline to even be an American. Like, you don't park anyhow. Like, the process of not even parking your car anyhow is even discipline. I don't think you can organize Nigerians that way, because, you know, we don't really look into things that way. But the whites are very disciplined in everything they do. Let me say the Americans, even the blacks there, most of them are even, you know, structured. We try to mirror them. That's because they are disciplined. So when you look at the Africans, what do? We are artistic. We are very, very creative. You know, we know how to twist things. We look very structured in, you know, some kind of cultural formation. Everybody knows where that's coming from. We know our history, you know. So now, at the same time, what do you think Forex trading is going to do? If Forex trading is this energy that can be blended with anything, if it's something that can be a hobby, like we said in the beginning, if we say something that can be a hobby, where are you coming from? Are you Nigerian? Are you South African? Are you American? Are you European? Are you Canadian? What perspective are you trying to bring into this disciplinary system? Let me call it that. This system of dedication, this pattern that forms a routine that you are aware of or you're not, but at the same time you're going to learn, you know. So if it's going to be a part of you and it is going to influence you, don't you think you should know what you can do with it? That's to talk about what is Forex trading. I'm trying to give you guys an understanding of what is Forex trading. I didn't say what is foreign exchange. I didn't say what is trading. I'm going to give you guys why I'm breaking it this way, because it still goes into why Africans are doing what they are doing and making money from it at the same time, you know, because they created an industry. And why you're not thinking this is possible, some of us who have understood this, like me and so many other individuals out there, everybody who is there tonight, will be able to use it and create something that would be beneficial to them one way or the other. Well, everyone can hear me, right?
Yeah, so far so good. I'm hearing
Okay. For the sake of jotting down, since this is going to be a long night and a very, very trading, to enlighten us on the foundational understanding of Forex trading, to be able to build that which we perceive as our own understanding within Forex trading. The aim and objectives of the bootcamp is to be able to improve the foundational understanding of what we perceive as Forex trading, you know, to be able to, you know, identify our craft. I'm not right now reading this, but I don't think that. So Forex trading is the process of buying and selling or an exchange between two body, or you can say two entities, represented by their currencies. You can say by the process of buying and selling between two countries, between two nations, represented by their currencies. So it's the process of buying or selling between two bodies of nation. Like this, you and I are identified by our nations. That nation itself identifies outside it as a currency because we are energies. Do you understand? We are basically living beings. We are energies. And please, somebody who let's pick somebody who will be formally following me up so that I know that everything is going. Let's say who knows that his network is clear, that you can hear me clearly, so that whenever I'm asking if the network is clear, you can just respond. When I know you respond, I know that we are good to go. Can somebody just be that person? Let's know that that's what you do. You just respond and then you mute your microphone.
I'm here. I can do that. My network is clear.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Thank you. So once you you can hear me, once I ask, just respond and then we'll keep writing and keep going. As long as you're understanding, I'll follow you up. Okay?
Noted.
All right. So let me start with formally. I already finished the aim and objective of the bootcamp. So we know what we are trying to achieve. Now let's go into what is Forex trading. I said Forex trading is the process. It's a bootcamp, so I hope you had plans to write something. It's the process of buying or selling of two entities, let's put it that way, entities or bodies represented as currency from two nations. Okay, let's put it that way. Because first of all, why are we saying this? Let me repeat that for those who did not write it down. Forex trading is the process of buying or selling of two entities or body represented as countries from two nations. Now, why are we putting it this way? First of all, when I say two entities, we're talking about two different bodies here. Okay, we're talking about, let's say, Euro, USD. First of all, Euro is not Europe. Euro is the official currency of Europe. Okay, but that doesn't mean that's the Euro that is within the Forex trading simulation. The app itself is a simulation. Okay, so Europe is basically representing, so you can say representing the body or the economy, the economy, let's say the economy of, or we can say the economy of the Europe, let's make it simple, of Europe, let's put it that way. And USD is representing the economy, let's say the economy and political structure of the USA. That's what USD basically on the chart represents. Now, why do I say so? Now, when we see FOMC, news, all those kind of Forex news that affect the Forex market, those are not just US news. So something can be happening in the US and entertainment news, and it doesn't even affect the Forex market, right? Something could happen to Rick Rose, and it doesn't affect the Forex market. But if something happens to Donald Trump, it's definitely affecting the Forex market. If something happens to the King of England, it's definitely affecting the Forex market, right? So you have to understand that it's not just the entire nation that is represented in the Forex market. It is basically some aspect, which is the economy, and we're talking about the political structures. So when you're saying the political structures, you're talking about the role of fundamental trading. So when you look into fundamental trading now, you're talking about what are the geopolitical influence of these two nations. You're trying to speculate on the app. Do you understand? So you're trying to speculate what's going to happen next on the app. Do you understand? You're trying to predict what's going to happen next. Don't think this is an easy thing. Anybody that thinks you're typing because you're seeing a flashy red and green button that says buy or sell doesn't mean you should just fund an account and buy or sell. That's the basic illusion of the beginning stage. That is not the industry. What we're talking about now is what is Forex trading. Do you understand? This is the fundamental Forex trading itself. So I just broke down to you how it is a process of buying and selling between two entities represented in currencies as a nation. So that's how we got to Euro and USD. Do you understand? Now, how is this possible? How are you doing this? Where is your money going to? Are you influencing the economy Are you benefiting the Europeans when you buy euro? You can't buy euro basically. You're buying euro USD. Are you benefiting the Europeans and the US when you buy euro USD? And how are you getting paid? How do you make money from the forex market that way? These are questions that we ask ourselves on a basic level when we're coming to the market. Basically, nobody's asking that questions. Let's say this is what you're supposed to be asking when you're trying to learn forex trading. You understand? Now, when we say, let's write it down. How do you make money? I'm just going straight to the point so that we don't get the interference we've been having. Joe, am I audible?
Sure.
Okay. Let's continue now. How do you make money? You make money through the brokers. The guys that are called brokers. Okay, I know symbolic they made them brokers, but if you know what they do to people, you know that they can make you broke. They can get you broke too, you know? So let's say symbolically, they are actually the brokers. You understand? But literally, it means a set of a firm, or let's say a body that exists as a means of which you yourself can participate in the economy of the nations. So let's say, how do you make money? You can say under, you can write brokers. Who are brokers? Brokers, let's write it this way. Let's write it this way. Brokers. So the brokers are basically the body that makes it possible that we have people that we call something that we call a digital Euro USD that we buy. You understand? Unless you don't know what you're doing when you say you're buying Euro USD online, you know, because Euro is a physical cash, USD is a physical cash. So the process of which an individual without a bank, without a bank, with assurance that you're safe, the brokers do those stuff. So the brokers go through country regulations, license, all of those stuff. That's why we have brokers that now say we are regulated. Regulated simply means in your region, they are permitted by the government to issue contracts. That's how you now have a broker, you can now fund your account and then trade with them. So they're like the means, they're like the bank, the body that exists between the individual and the financial market. So you can say the broker is the body that exists as a means of, connection between the individual and the financial market. And then let's move on. Now, we'll talk about the history of Forex. Now, I just told you guys, I explained to you guys how the come about of Forex itself. So when they say Forex started as kind of like a fun thing. This thing I just explained for you, the simulation I just explained for you is called Forex trading. Do you understand? That simulation is Forex trading. Why I'm breaking this down to you now is because this is where the act comes in. The science of this whole industry is based on these basic structures we just explained. The understanding of Euro USD, the buying of the currency through the broker. That's the science of what was created. Now the act that was perceived from individuals, that was created with the collective consciousness of what started going on, created what we now call Forex. In the beginning, which is, let's say, the history of Forex trading now, after the dissolving, let's say the dissolving of, after the dissolving of the gold and how we got to Nigeria in the first place, how I even got to Africa, because this whole thing was happening. Africa was undergoing, the changes with geopolitical structures, independency. That was all happening within the 90s. Literally, Nigeria gained their independence in 1960. Forex was happening in the background. Like, understand that kind of stuff. Like, while they were busy doing all this Biafra war, all of those stuff, Forex was around. And some people still think this is something like something that somebody just invented and decided to, have fun with. This is something that has been evolving. Nobody's keeping track of the birthday, but it's there. Now, as a body, it got adopted into society as Forex, which I told you guys that Forex, the word Forex means. So the abbreviation of foreign exchange bet the term Forex trading. So now, when Forex trading came in, retailers started trading the market. So retailers now started trading Forex, like, Euro USD, Euro JPY, all of those stuff. So when they ask, what do? You say you trade the Forex market. Instead of saying, I do foreign exchange on simulation, you just say you trade the Forex market. Okay, now, after that happened, around the 2009, 2012, we started having Forex trading in Nigeria as a thing, as a content, with the introduction of social media, with the aspect of social media coming on board. We now started having individuals online who say they do Forex trading for a living. You understand? Basically, everyone who is viral today, everyone who is a public figure in Forex trading online today, started at some point where they came online and say, I'm saying I can teach, you're good at it, explain the way you would. But I want you guys to understand when they created this whole system where we all got introduced into Forex trading, because the aspects we got introduced into was through the digital age when we started having people like the ICT. But when this stuff was created, the ICT was not yet here. That was like during the times of the Wyckoff and the, gold standard period. But during the ICT period, a different thing was in the Forex market. We had symbolism. We had symbolism massively taking over the technical aspect of trading. So first we had the ICT. He came in with his symbol and his name, basically summarized from the inner cycle trader. The inner cycle trader going into his strategy, because he believes that he got his strategy from the banks, and while he was within the system, he got insight enough to create a technical method. Okay, so the ICT created his symbol, his identity, and then he started sharing his craft. Over the years, it evolved, and his craft became one of the hooks that most people get introduced into Forex trading. And so many of them get stuck in that aspect. They get stuck in that aspect. They think the ICT is Forex, that method is Forex trading. They don't think of any other method, they want to stick to their edge of that. But how long does that even last? How long does that even last? When you don't really understand how deep what you're doing goes, when you don't really have a foundational reason to why you're doing this to yourself, why you're actually trying to stimulate your emotions through the fear and the greed and the placing of charts and all of those stuff. Because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. You're stimulating your brain when you do this stuff. And then it generates energy, because that's what the human body does. And then when you're not aware of this now, it energizes a different aspect of yourself, which is not in your favor because you're not aware of it. Or maybe in your favor subconsciously. But those are different aspects of what, that's the psychological aspect of what Forex trading is doing to you. But let's look into the history as we were, originally. I'm putting these stuff within the recording. That's why you see I'm very fast. So I want you guys that when you're watching the video, you're gaining that insights to what I mean. What's the influence of the digital age? What happened within 2016? All those aspects. Now, when we were about looking into ways of earning money from this whole system, and then the creation of the Forex market. Because why I'm giving you guys those insights is because they are all tied up together. Because the way you might be thinking you're coming to make money, what you learn might not be, what you're trying to do. Because most people who learn Forex trading from content creators, not people like the ICT, they learn it from content creators, because that is also an aspect of the Forex market. The content creators are also an aspect of the Forex market. But if you're not aware of this way, you might get confused. That's the whole idea of why we're even hosting an event. So we're trying to give people the reality of what trading is all about. If you learn Forex trading from a content creator and then at the same time you lose so much money from it, what happens? You get bittered. And then those people end up becoming more content creators, creating more foolish content, and then more people get losing money, but they're making money from creating content. That's content creating. They're not making money from the Forex market itself, like this buying and selling I was explaining to you. They make money from content, Forex content. Those are content creators. Do you understand? So after the digital age, after the introduction of symbols from the ICT and other traders during that period sharing their stories, we had this digital age where individuals started developing their own identity. So we started having content creators online, how we have in the music industry. You understand? So that aspect created the market itself. That is how we got the Forex industry. I don't know if I'm communicating. Is it now making sense? I'm trying to rush into this whole thing. I don't know if everybody's flowing up with me. Do you now know how we now have a Forex industry? Have you catch up? Can anybody confirm if we are following up? Like, Do you now know how? Should I explain how we got the Forex industry again? Because some people are not inside music, they're inside the Forex industry, and you are the patronizer. Their aim is to get you to watch their content. They're not planning to make money from their live account. They're planning to make money from their TikTok account. That aspect does not have anything to do with the history of Forex trading. It started recently. Are you aware of that? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
And are you guys following up?
Yes.
Have you come across these people before?
Sure, there are many on the social media space.
Exactly. They're not teaching anybody Forex. So they didn't even learn how to trade. Majority of them didn't learn how to trade. Majority of them first tried, and they noticed that, oh, what I learned was I watched somebody coming out of his video, like his car, and then I noticed that I went and go and fund my broker and I lost. So that means what I'm trying to do is different from what I watched. Now I'm going to try and do what I watched. I have a car. I'm going to now video myself coming down from a car and saying I'm into Forex trading. Maybe, maybe might be fraud money, but I'm just going to disguise it as Forex and, just let the whole world think it's Forex and create an identity for myself. Unfortunately, individuals are following these people. And that was how they created a Forex industry. It's now a thing. It's not a matter of is it true or is it a lie. It's now a thing. And this thing slowly, this is now where Africans came in. This is now where you now have Africans. That's why you see South Africans doing what they are doing. Like almost every South African is saying like, I make millions of money. They're looking for you to watch it. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, are you saying something?
No. I think it's one Mr. Michael. Mr. Michael,
Oh,
please
okay.
try to mute your mic.
Yes,
Sorry.
please. Can you help us out, please? Thank you. All right. So now while you're going through that, I need you to understand that they are making money from it. And majority of them might not have as much insight as you do, but at the same time, this is money. And this was the primary aim of why we came here in the first place. Do you understand? So they don't really, it's not everybody that has this empathy of trying to create a future where other people can learn from. What I'm trying to do in JayForexHouse is using my experience to create a structure where I can be transparent enough for people to see the different perspectives of Forex trading. Do you understand? It can be a simulation to you coming from the US. But at the same time, it could be an industry to someone coming from Africa. It could still be a hobby to someone coming from Africa. And it could still be a source of income, regardless of the means from someone coming from South Africa. So what I'm trying to give you here is that profound understanding that is the Forex market first. Before you learn the strategy you're going to be using to fight the simulation to create money from, your strategy, because you're trying to create money from funding an account or getting a profit, and then you're trying to flip that profit into profits with a strategy you have studied. That is Forex trading. But what you're seeing online is the Forex industry itself. That is an industry of content creators. I myself am trying to create a content. At the same time, I'm trying to enlighten and educate people about what's going on in this space. Because if you're a newcomer, you find somebody's Forex content first. You're coming here to make money. Like, we have good content creator in Forex. One of the favorite reasons why I like this aspect of life is that Forex trading is not out there to give people this illusion of go and naked yourself online. Do you understand? Forex trading is not telling you to go and do that, like just go and dance online. Forex trading is trying to give you that understanding that if you can be symbolic, if you are creative, come and show your craft. If you are an artist, or you use the chart to create an act. If you are a dancer, what can you do with Forex trading? If you're a writer, or you write a book about Forex trading, or write a book about the evolution of finance and merge it with Forex trading, or you write a book about, if you're a farmer, what can you learn from the Forex market that can better improve your business into farming? If you're an accountant, what can you learn from Forex market or Forex trading in general that can better improve your job? Do you understand? There's everything. within that hobby itself. Like that is one of the fundamental reasons why I say you have to have a different foundational understanding of what you're doing as forex trading. So look at yourself and say, okay, what structures am I coming from? Since we now have a forex industry, you're now learning this knowledge, you're now knowing about this way. Now, this is now ways of earning money. Number one, let's say ways of earning money. Since I just broke this down for you, I'm writing it down. Ways of earning money from Forex. Ways of earning money from Forex. Number one, speculating the market. That is, which is the traditional way of making money from Forex. Number two, content creating. That is number two. Number three, a financial hobby. So I have a friend, the guy who is going to be live tomorrow is somebody who I've known for a while now. We've been studying together. He trades the market as a financial hobby. Why I call it a financial hobby is because he goes in when he sees the market is clean enough. He has funds and he funded his account, and now he's doing it for the sake of that. He could generate few funds from that aspect as well. Do you understand? So that means forex trading itself can be done that way. Do you understand? Forex trading can be done as a side hustle. So these are other means. These are means of making money from forex. You can create a graphics company that creates graphics for individuals who are trying to host events in forex trading. Do you understand? That's how deep forex trading can go. Forex trading can get an event planner, a contractor to host an event for 5 days. Like forex trading can do so much. That is if you understand how much you can do with it and what aspect of life are you involved in that you would like to, utilize forex trading with. And those are means of making money. And regardless of that, which you think you can do right now, a lot of things are being done worldwide with as little resources as possible. Do you understand? You don't have to know everything for you to be able to do anything. You just have to know something. You understand? You just know something. Once you know this and you're able to think through it, like have a structure, have a plan, same way you have a trading plan, you can be able to generate something for yourself, even if it's by speculating the market itself, by doing the original reason of why Forex was created, before we now have these sub versions of, trading the Forex market. Affiliate marketing is there. So you understand? We have so many things now, traders are doing that, at their means of making money. The subject of the matter is that which one is that which would last for the long run and give you that much money as what you're looking for. Do you understand? Which is that you can learn from and improve your life and your reality. That's what you should focus on. You understand? So this is like the introduction of the basic structures of forex trading in general. I don't want us to stress it too much. We have been having interference and the class has been, made a very, very, very complex one by network. I want it to be like this. I'm going to talk about the algorithm now, why I round off for the night. And then since we're rounding up here, tomorrow we're going to be going straight to stocks, and I'll make sure that since I'm not the one speaking, hopefully the network will not be interfered like that. And you guys will have a clean conversation with the guest speaker. Okay. I'm just going to explain to you now when we say algorithm, what are we talking about? So what we're going to summarize that, which is the algorithm now. I've spoken to you guys about the ways of making money through forex trading. I'll break it down also in a message form and send it to the group so you can have a summary of the class today. And then, we can round up for the night. So the algorithm itself, we just concluded ways of making money through forex. We are covering a lot of things. Okay, let me ask a general question. When we say the algorithm, even in the terms of technical analysis, even in terms of fundamental structures, even in terms of the algorithm itself outside forex trading, what do you understand as what we call the algorithm? Should I break it down? It seems like nobody have any insight to share. So if Joe should say I should go ahead, does that confirm that I should go ahead?
Yes, boss. Go ahead.
Okay, let me just go ahead then. Okay, the algorithm. So everybody understand that when you walk on the road and then you see a friend you have not seen in a long time, and then you carry your phone and your phone pops up the person on your Facebook as people you may know. That's the algorithm working. Everybody knows that, right? But have anybody have that experience before? Like what I just broke down for you, like, or let me say you just thought about somebody, like, it's been long I saw this guy. You all of a sudden the algorithm pops up the guy on your people you may know, or maybe the account on your Facebook or your
In fact,
Instagram or something. Yeah.
that do happens a whole lot of time.
Okay. So that makes you to understand that there's something that is basically having an insight to what you're thinking about. Something connected to the digital space has an insight to what you're thinking about, whether you believe it or not. The algorithm is not separate from God's creation. Let me lay that out. Like I had a conversation with somebody a few days ago. He was trying to tell me that the algorithm, when we talk about technology, the way it's advancing these days, what aspects do God now play in this whole thing? Because it's now looking like we are being invaded as human beings. And I told him that the only difference there is your understanding is being invaded. What you understood as reality and humanity is basically being shattered by what the algorithm is being able to do, or what AI is being able to do. But if you had a profound understanding that had a place for AI, had a place for the algorithm, had a place for technology, and had a place for the digital space as a thing that is not going anywhere anytime soon, you would have basically seen this as evolution. Do you understand? So even in games, when we have structures, even in sorry about that, even in games when we have structures like the football, we have so many structures to how it's possible for we in Africa to be watching Champions League. There are so many structures involved. When we look at that, that is something you can call an algorithm. An algorithm on a general level is talking about a system that observes a certain pattern that is done over time and can then place structures around it using computers. So algorithm is just a software that is designed to observe a certain pattern using a certain structure to form, the pattern over time. Like now, when we talk about this, Facebook was not created to generally be Facebook in the first place. It's just a computer observing our actions and at the same time emulating collective results. So everybody's getting their own field, but something is studying us. I'm not going to go too deep with that because we're talking about quantum physics. That's something that is not even supposed to be understandable first, but it's possible. That's something you should understand first. Now, why I decided to go into this lane is because we have a similar thing in the Forex market, and that's what moves the market. Do you understand? The algorithm is observing the patterns and the structures of the geopolitical system, the influence of every country as of on the digital space, not in reality. What is being said online is what the algorithm follows. So when a news is laid out by US about interest rate and all of that, once the news comes from a reliable source on the internet, the algorithm picks it up and creates its own impact in the market based on the effect and based on, all of those stuff. Those are computer programming, and the algorithm does that. Do you understand? Now, how does this come into technical analysis? The algorithm, let's write it down this way. Let's write it. What is the algorithm? Let me explain it this way. Is a computer software program designed to observe, interpret, and transmit data in accordance to certain pattern. Let's put it that way. In accordance to certain pattern. Okay, so like I said in the beginning, I'm going to find information, credible informations, and place them with the recording. So when you're watching it, you are seeing those breakdowns too, and they can verify what I'm trying to explain to you as well. So now this software is not your strategy. Your strategy is trying to predict what this software is trying to do. This software is not smart money. Smart money is trying to predict what this software is trying to do. The software is not an individual, it's not a bank. The central banks might have an insight to what the structure might do next, but that doesn't mean the central bank is the structure. Now we're having AI in the system, so I think very soon the structure is going to become conscious itself. So I don't think the central banks will be able to, control it anymore. But I think with the invention of AI, humans are very, very weird because I don't know why we could create something like that and then at some point create, AI, artificial intelligence, and then at the same time we have structures this sophisticated. Like that's a profound question we should ask ourselves because what are we trying to achieve by doing such a thing? Because this is very, very weird. And as deep as it goes, I'm not doing this. I'm just telling you what is out there. Do you understand? One individual is not doing this. It's happening collectively, and nobody is in charge. That's the crazy aspect of it. That's how you know that God is basically saying, I'm creating something to represent me. Let's put it that way. Some people say AI is demonic. Some people, like in Africa, Nigeria, they like to describe it like AI is demonic. But what's demonic about it? The fact that it's trying to emulate God. What if God is the one in charge of what is going on? You understand? Have you thought about it that way? What if? And if that is the case, don't you think maybe God is the way the Bible prescribed it, like the end time, all of that? Maybe it's talking about structures and restructuring instead of thinking that something crazy is going to happen. Well, let's leave that way. That's what we're talking about. The algorithm is a software, and now the patterns of which this algorithm is now following in forex trading is what we now call market structure. The pattern of which this algorithm is following is what we call market structure. So now we have a high, a low, a high, a low. Now, there's another high. Let's look these things as beep. So we have from one high to a low as a range. Within this range, there's a structure repeated of higher high, lower lows and lower highs till you get to the point where we had this particular low. And then from that point, price goes up to create a new higher high, and then a new low, a new high. That's already a pattern. And then from that way, we now have higher highs and higher lows, lower lows and lower highs. And then from there, we now have what we now call a structure. So what are these structures being created? They are bouncing off price levels. Is price bouncing off specific levels? And why price is doing the same thing, we have the fundamental structures, which is like the news, the geopolitical structures, playing in line with how this market structure is moving. Which now means that the structures itself are being influenced by the geopolitical structures, like what we said earlier about things that move the forex simulation. So the algorithm, all it has to do is just target these key levels and cause a certain level of liquidation in accordance to the way it wants to be manipulated by the same people who created the algorithm. That's how we now have smart money concepts. Let me repeat that again. Now, since there's an algorithm that is able to observe market structure based on highs and lows, we are getting to the advanced part. We're getting to the serious part. So try to pay attention. Now, when we're getting the aspect of highs and lows, which is now where we now get market structure. And now the invention of an algorithm is now being able to monitor these market structures and observe how it's able to bounce off key levels, where we now have what we call higher highs, lower high, higher high, lower high, which is where you now find why you now have lines moving on forex trading. When you look at the forex market, you see a line moving. This line is in form of a candlestick, but these lines are bouncing off higher highs and lower highs on different dimensions, which is now called time frames. So when you open your app, you now see what it's called a time frame, right? On what we now call the MT4 app. Now, on the MT4 app, we have time frames. Everybody understand what we call time frames already. We see the charts. The chart is these lines we're talking about. The chart is simply lines. I want you to stop looking at the chart like you're looking at something so symbolic that represents a pattern. Look at it from the basic level of just being a single candlestick, a simple candlestick, a candlestick bouncing off price levels. And if candlesticks were not invented, you would have been looking at a line chart. Line charts that shows the results of the daily time frame, the 4 hours time frame, the 1 hour time frame, which is looking at the space of 1 hour per candle, the 30 minutes time frame, which is looking at the space of 30 minutes per candle, the 15-minute time frame, looking at 15 minutes per candle, 5-minute time frame, 1-minute time frame. And there are some certain brokers that even show you the 30 seconds time frame, depending on where you're trading from. Now, when you see those kind of stuff, what is happening? They are trying to create a systematic program so the algorithm can be able to get data enough to stimulate the system. Now, if you're used to computer, you're understanding how this whole structure is forming. You're getting the point of how this science work, because we're looking into the science aspect of how Forex trading is created. The act was what we talked about in the industry. That's the act of it. This is the science of it now. Do you understand? I don't know if I'm communicating. We've not had an interference for a while now. Hope everybody is following up. Hello? Am I audible? Joe, are you with me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. So when we're looking at this whole structure, when we're looking at the formation of this thing now, like from my own perspective, from what I've been explaining to you, now you're seeing how intellectual what you're dealing with is. This thing you're going to just fund an account and try to speculate. It's not that easy, and not just that easy. It's not that playful. It's not something you just do without a plan. It's not something you do because you saw a news on US, you just go and buy Euro USD. You don't do that because the algorithm is not doing that. Do you understand? So when you say you're trading smart money concept, you're basically saying you're looking for areas where the algorithm will be causing manipulations. And then you're going to be predicting how to get in on an entry where you can count on having enough risk to accumulate enough money to make money. Do you understand? Like enough money to make money, not enough money to make you rich in one day, enough money to make money for that day. That's the aim. When you have this profound understanding, you can play the simulation and have fun because you can predict the algorithm if you know what you're doing. That's what I'm trying to say. You can predict the algorithm if you know what you're doing. That is what you can predict. I'm not saying Forex market is predictable, but you can predict the structures around the algorithm using tools like the Fibonacci, harmonic patterns, or smart money concept, or Wyckoff. That's where we now have the technicality of Forex trading. So Forex trading, let's summarize it. I just told you guys, I just explained the algorithm for you. How possible is the algorithm? We have dimensions in Forex. We have the time frames. We have the structure. We have a trend. So when Nigerians started building an act around this stuff, or when Africans started building an act, because South Africans plays a role too, we now have this whole system where an industry is created of a system that was mathematically built in the first place. So this system of numbers and alphabets and calculations and energies, like I said in the beginning, energies, we had a place for the US, a place for Europe, a place for Canada, a place for Japan. We had all those structures built before we got to the point where individuals decided to create acts using this whole system. You can't be coming here just because you're looking for financial freedom. You can't be doing this just because you just want to learn something. You understand? You have to be doing this for a reason. And you have to be involved in your craft as a craft, not just something you do to try and make money, or you will get lost in the paradox. Because there's a paradox. If there's an algorithm, then you should understand that there's a paradox. There's something meant to trap individuals to keep creating what we call liquidity. The concept of liquidity will be explained in the future, where we have the day where we talk about liquidity. But for now, I want us to, ground the event up here. So anybody have any questions from how far we have come from the introduction of the bootcamp to what we understand as Forex trading, to how we got the simulation of Euro USD, to how you can make money from Forex, to the role the brokers play, to also the whole, and also to add to all this, for your information, the brokers are also interested in the Forex industry because they're also looking for people to come and fund their account. So they created a system what they call affiliate marketing. So every broker is out to look for individuals who have created enough crafts in the artistic aspect of Forex to be able to, have followers and subscribers that they can fund. Brokers can pay you millions of money just to get your followers to, you know, subscribe to their platform. They don't really do that because they want people to make money or become free or for financial freedom. You understand? So you have to understand what you're trying to do. So it's not a game for children. Like I say, it's a hobby for adults. And that means it's a hobby that requires discipline, consistency, and dedication. So that will be all for now. Any questions on today's class for today? Any question from different aspects of what we have talked about, the different subtopics we covered? I'm giving a foundational structure of the bootcamp and giving everybody an insight to Forex trading. After that, I'm moving on to day 2, where we talk about stock trading from the perspective of the US. That's from somebody who is in the US and is going to be teaching you guys how he makes money from the stock market, and you can ask him questions. And then day 3, we'll look into something else in the aspect of technical analysis, and then we'll move further. By the end of the bootcamp, you should have a profound understanding of what you're trying to do. And then when you see a content creator advertising Forex, you should know what they're trying to do. And then if you're looking into becoming a content creator, maybe a music producer, a video editor, a photographer, or you're trying to make money online, you should understand that your skills alone to be able to understand the Forex market gives you leverage to the Forex industry. And your dedication to that can also still pay you without funding your account because people are doing it. You understand? So that aspect is also there. Before we, prolong the class more further, do anybody have any question?